Hi everybody, this is Czapnik from the Jewish Learning Exchange in Los Angeles. I hope you and yours are well. Today we're going to discuss some really deep ideas I hope to share with you in the few minutes we have. But first, again, a reminder that we should keep on praying for the situation in Israel, and the Almighty should protect Jews in Israel, in Gaza, let the hostages come home, and Jews around the world. This week's Torah portion is Parshat Va'eschanon. The Shabbos is a very special name. It's Shabbos Nachamu, the Shabbos of comfort. It's after we had Tisha B'Av, where we mourned the destruction of the temple and all the other tragedies in Jewish history and the difficult situation we're in now. Hashem wants to comfort us. So 2 questions. Number 1, what is the longest and most difficult journey everybody in mankind faces? And number 2, what is better, having belief in God or knowing God? Well, this week's Torah portion gives us a clue when it tells us that we should love Hashem b'chol levavcha, b'chol nafshecha, b'chol me'edecha, with all of your heart, soul, and resources. But the Torah tells us something else. And that is, belief in God is important, but actually, as one rabbi put it, I don't believe in God. I know God. Because the Torah tells us in this week's Torah portion, in chapter 4, verse 39, know God and take it to heart, that He is your God in heaven above and in the earth below. So the goal is to know God. How do we know God? Well, obviously, part of that is developing a personal relationship. That's through prayer and belief and Torah study and mitzvahs. But actually, there are many ways of knowing God. We can know God from a historical perspective, from an archaeological perspective, from the prophecies that have come true. But the most simple way to know God is to look into nature. Nature is amazing, and how the world was created, the complexity of it, the beauty, the interconnectedness of it, the detail. Victor Hugo said many years ago, and I quote, "Where the telescope ends, the microscope begins. Which view is grander?" Great line. So the idea here is that now, as we research science, the telescope and the microscope more and more, the wow factor is even greater, and we can appreciate God and know God even more dramatically. But there's another perspective that we have to look at, and that is the following. Rabbi gives a beautiful parable for this. Imagine a person is traveling through the forest, deep into the forest, and he comes upon a huge castle in an area that was totally uninhabited. And he sees the beautifully, meticulously manicured lawns, and he sees the flowers in beautiful order and beautiful color, and he's amazed at the beauty of it. And he goes closer and closer to the palace, and he sees the shrubs cut so beautifully and neatly. And then he comes to the palace door and he knocks, and no answer. And he tries the door and it's open. And he comes into the door and he sees that the furniture is all assembled in the room. There's dust all over the place. There's patches on the ceiling and there's cracks. And he doesn't understand. Clearly somebody used to live here, and somebody's still maintaining it, because look at the beauty outside. But inside it's a mess. And then he realizes, there's someone taking care of the palace inside and out. Because inside, they're just making repairs, and they're going to make it look very pretty as well and very beautiful. And Rabbi explains, when we look at the natural world, we see the beauty. But when we look inside at the suffering of the people and the wars and sickness and lack of financial resources and pain, we wonder, where's God? And then the answer is, God's making repairs and hoping that we will make the repairs to finish the job. And that's the example of the beautiful garden outside and the palace that's in disarray inside, because in fact it's being fixed over. Very beautiful parable. And that's an idea for us to think about. And we should realize that God is in charge, and we have to strive toward not only believing in God, but knowing God. And this brings us to the other answer. The longest and most difficult journey is from the brain to the heart. The brain can know God, but we have to internalize it in our heart, in our actions, in our feelings. And that takes time and effort, and takes the study of Torah and trying to incorporate what we know into our heart as well. So this week's portion is a challenge for us to work towards knowing God, loving God, and serving God with all of our heart, with all of our might, with all of our soul, with all of our resources. May we be successful, and may the Almighty comfort the Jewish people fully and totally soon in our days. Have a great Shabbos.